Tonight, Air Canada's new ultimatum. What the airline and union are saying after workers defy a back-to-work order.
If it means folks like me going to jail, then so be it.
And how much the strike is impacting prices on other flights. Will voters in Alberta deliver Pierre Poilievre a political lifeline in tonight's pivotal by-election?
Conservatives will fight to put Canada first, and we will work with anyone.
And Ukraine's leader makes a high-stakes White House return.
First of all, Mr. President Zelenskyy, you look fabulous in that suit.
What changed in the second sit-down? And what a hot mic on Donald Trump picked up.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina.
Good evening, and really great to be back with you again. Thousands of Canadians continue to be in limbo tonight as the standoff between the country's largest airline and its employees intensifies. Air Canada and Air Canada Rouge flights are suspended until at least 4 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow as the union defies a federal back-to-work order. Late tonight, the airline's message to employees: until they comply, it won't negotiate, though the union is saying tonight talks have resumed. CTV's Heather Wright on the impasse and Ottawa's own message to workers.
At airports across the country, Air Canada flight attendants walked the picket line for the third straight day, defying orders to return to work.
And if it means folks like me going to jail, then so be it. If it means our union being fined, then so be it.
The Canada Industrial Relations Board has deemed this an unlawful strike after it ordered the roughly 10,000 Air Canada flight attendants back to work yesterday. On Saturday, the federal jobs minister asked the Labour Board to intervene just hours into the strike, invoking the same part of the Labour Code it has used to end recent postal, railroad, and shipyard strikes. But this time, the union refused to comply.
When the government came in and tried to stop our strike 12 hours after we started, we decided that that was not enough to put pressure on Air Canada to come back to the table.
At issue, wages and unpaid work. Flight attendants are only paid for the hours they work in the air, which doesn't include boarding and other on-the-ground duties. It's something Jobs Minister Patty Hajdu is now looking into.
Nobody should work for free in this country. In fact, we expect to get paid for the work that we perform. And that's why I've ordered a probe into the allegation of unpaid work in the airline sector.
Air Canada has offered a pay increase of 17.2% over 4 years, compensation that would make its flight attendants the highest paid in Canada. But that increase isn't enough, according to the union, which says some workers are earning poverty-level wages.
What they're yelling right now is our emergency commands that we learn in training to say that we are about to crash land. We need help.
Tonight, the union confirms they are back at the table with the airline, working with a mediator to reach a new deal. The company says the airline is ready to bargain, but in the meantime, wants flights to resume.
I can't emphasize how important it is that we get the planes back in the sky, that we get Canadians moving again. I call upon CUPE, please rescind this illegal directive.
The job action has left roughly 500,000 passengers stranded, many unsure when they will be able to get home.
I'm supposed to start a job on Wednesday. That's not going to happen.
Today, the Prime Minister weighed in, calling the impasse disappointing.
I urge both parties to resolve this as quickly as possible.
Air Canada has now canceled all flights up until 4 p.m. Tuesday, with some estimating this strike costing the airline more than $60 million a day. Heather Wright, CTV News, Mississauga, Ontario.
That financial hit is also causing some turbulence on the markets. Air Canada's stock fell nearly 3% today. The airline also revealing today it suspended its third quarter and annual profit forecasts because of the labor disruption. Many stranded Canadians are furious and frustrated. CTV's Alison Hurst on the roadblocks they're facing to get back home.
Probably 5 days from now.
Grounded, both the planes and passengers, as the Air Canada strike stretches on.
It's a nightmare. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Torsten Winder and his family are trying to return home to his son and pets in Germany.
We have no hotel, we have no car, we have nothing. And they are not very helpful.
James Numfor and his family of 9 got stuck on their way home to Regina Saturday after arriving from Cameroon, where they went to a funeral.
They gave us a hotel from Saturday when we arrived here. to Sunday. Saturday to Sunday. That's it.
According to Air Canada's pamphlet info, labor disruptions are outside their control, so they do not qualify for regulatory compensation. Numfor and his family slept at the airport last night.
We were just hanging around. We were just, and right this night, what are we going to do tonight? What are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next tomorrow?
He, like others, are actively looking for other ways to get home. Gaia Traversa is trying to get back to Milan on another airline.
We are stuck here, try to rebook our flight. Of course, the price of the flights are illegal.
And many travelers within Canada are considering driving.
We found a car in Ottawa, but I think they're, $4,000 each car? Yeah. And then we'd still have to pay for gas and hotels.
There are also Canadians stuck abroad. Cosimo Di Lecce is in Rome.
Massive impact. My wife has a government job, which she cannot attend to. I myself, I'm a contractor. I have a very small artisan painting contracting business, which I have clients waiting for me.
And Kyla Kumar in Portugal.
What other industry and sector in our country would allow this to go on and not force the provider to provide reasonable means to get people home?
Amin Lalji checked out the protest after finding out his flight was cancelled.
It's a little inconvenient for us as travelers, but people got to make a living and they got to do right. So power to you guys, do well. Air Canada needs to pony up.
As passengers hope they'll soon be able to get to their destinations. Alison Hurst, CTV News.
Other airlines are adding more flights, but that doesn't mean those seats are any more accessible. CTV's Geneviève Beauchemin on what the lack of supply and increased demand are doing to ticket prices.
The search for an escape hatch from Air Canada has travelers looking for other means of transportation. But aboard planes, there is limited space, especially in peak summer season. And adding flights is not exactly a smooth ride for other carriers.
It's not like the TTC, that the subway goes down or the metro goes down and you can add a bunch of buses right away. It doesn't quite work that way. And it's for a safety perspective. The other thing is you have to be able to get the gates at the airports.
Still, Porter, Air Transat and WestJet say they're looking at adding some flights on a few routes. In a statement, WestJet said that it is positioning larger aircraft onto key routes and working with airport partners, pilots and cabin crew to add a limited number of extra flights to help accommodate guests. Air Transat says to respond to strong demand, it's also adding some flights and using larger aircraft on some transatlantic routes. But safety regulations, including the availability of flight crews and hours they can fly, limits scaling up. Add that all in, and the cost of a ticket isn't cheap. A one-way ticket from Montreal to Toronto aboard WestJet on Wednesday, $1,105.
Well, it's going to be pricey. That's just the way it's going to be. All airline pricing is based on demand. The demand was high to begin with.
And charter flights like those that operate out of the small airport here south of Montreal could also pick up business, but that's not cheap either. There's also Via and buses for some routes and car rentals, although the price of those is also rising. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Longueuil, Quebec.
To breaking news now, the Canadian press is projecting Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre will win the by-election in the Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot. The by-election a must-win after he failed to recapture his Ottawa area seat in the general election this spring.
I am grateful that I will have the chance to be their humble servant, to fight every day and in every way for the people in this region who feed, power, and protect all of Canada.
Let's get to CTV's Kathy Lee, who is standing by at Pierre Poilievre's headquarters in Camrose this evening. And Kathy, this is one of the safest Conservative seats in the country. Tell us about the atmosphere there tonight and more about what Poilievre had to say.
Omar, as you can see and you can probably hear, people are having a really good time, especially with the results that just came in, and those results shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone, as Pierre Poilievre was expected to win this riding, this traditionally conservative riding, considered the safe riding. He has already addressed the crowd. He says that it's been a privilege to be able to campaign in the riding of Battle River Crowfoot, and that he's gotten to know a lot of people here. Now, the big question tonight wasn't about whether or not he would win. It was how much of a margin he would win by. Will he get the overwhelming support that Damien Currick got, the former MP who won in a landslide during the general election? And, we're still waiting for all the results to come in. It's going to take a little while because of all the number of candidates on the ballot and all the other interesting twists in this by-election. But Elections Canada did say that all the ballots will be counted by tonight. Back to you, Omar.
All right, Kathy, thank you for this tonight. In the capital tonight is CTV's chief political correspondent, Vassy Kapelos. Vassy, as we know, Pierre Poilievre faces a Conservative Party leadership review in January. Kathy mentioned the margin. A lot of people will be looking at that tonight. How does what happened tonight impact that review in January?
Yeah, that's really the most consequential long-term question, Omar. The objective for Poilievre and the people around him was to just put this by-election in the rear-view mirror, for that to stop being the story, the fact that he did not have a seat in the House of Commons, and to move on to face that review in January, and in between then and now, focus on a return to the House of Commons and what that looks like. Because it does look very different versus a Mark Carney government than it did versus a Justin Trudeau government. And how the leader of the opposition performs in the House against Mark Carney's government is certainly going to inform how Conservative Party members feel when they do cast their vote in a review at the end of January in Calgary, which of course will be kind of the seminal moment for Pierre Poilievre's leadership. Back to you.
All right, Vassy, thank you for this tonight. In other news, U.S. President Donald Trump insisted he is arranging a meeting between the leaders of Ukraine and Russia to negotiate an end to the war. Volodymyr Zelenskyy was back at the White House today, this time with 7 European leaders. CTV's Judy Trin on how the meeting was choreographed to avoid a repeat of Zelenskyy's last face-to-face with Trump.
The Ukrainian president wore a suit to the White House, not his usual military uniform.
First of all, Mr. President Zelenskyy, you look fabulous in that suit.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, you look good.
I said the same thing.
Vladimir Zelenskyy voiced his appreciation for Donald Trump's efforts to end the war and even thanked the First Lady for her letter to Vladimir Putin expressing concern for Ukraine's children.
Using this opportunity, many thanks to your wife, First Lady of the United States.
All carefully calibrated to avoid the disaster of his last meeting in the Oval Office.
You don't have the cards right now.
We're all working for the same goal.
This time, Ukraine's interests were shielded by the leaders of Britain, France, Germany, Italy, Finland, the European Union, and NATO's Secretary General.
When we talk about security, we're talking about the security not just of Ukraine, we're talking about the security of Europe and the United Kingdom as well.
Mr. Putin, did you underestimate Ukraine?
Following the president's one-on-one with Putin in Alaska, the European leaders pushed for security guarantees and a ceasefire. But Trump isn't convinced it's necessary.
Your idea to ask for a truce or a ceasefire, at least to stop the killings, as we discuss, is a necessity.
We can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop.
In 2014, Russia annexed Crimea. Now 3.5 years after it declared war, Russia controls almost 20% of Ukraine. Trump has said Zelenskyy may have to give up territory. Caught on a hot mic, Trump signaled he believes Putin is willing to make a deal for him.
I think he wants to make a deal for me. You understand? As crazy as it sounds.
Donald Trump says he's working on arranging a meeting between Zelenskyy and Putin so they can discuss the terms of a ceasefire and who will get Ukrainian territory seized by Russia. Omar.
All right, Judy, thank you. And hours before that meeting, a Russian drone strike killed at least 7 people, including a toddler in Kharkiv. An entire family died in an apartment from the attack. Ukraine's Air Force said Russia launched 140 drones and 4 missiles into the country overnight. Ukraine says many were shot down. A Hamas official says it has accepted a proposal for a ceasefire in Gaza from Arab mediators who have sent the proposal to Israel as the Israeli forces prepare for a ground offensive on Gaza's largest city. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu describes Gaza City as the final stronghold of Hamas, but the Israeli military has warned expanding the offensive could endanger hostages and draw troops into deadly guerrilla warfare. As fears grow of that imminent ground offensive, thousands of Palestinians are fleeing Gaza City, which is now under constant bombardment. Back here at home, as Canada's trade war with the U.S. drags on, Ontario Premier Doug Ford met with Prime Minister Mark Carney in Ottawa today. CTV's Rachel Aiello on his Ask.
What would you like to talk to Mark Carney about today?
Oh, we just have a lot of things.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford arrived on Parliament Hill today with lots to talk to Prime Minister Mark Carney about.
Well, we'll talk about the housing sector, we'll talk about steel, auto, new sectors of the economy, including artificial intelligence, what we're doing in terms of making Canada competitive.
Ford went in saying he wanted to see Carney move to cut red tape and taxes. It was their first face-to-face meeting since the latest round of trade talks with U.S. President Donald Trump fell apart.
We know President Trump's unpredictable. We have to find out what we need to do to make sure that we create the environment and conditions for companies from around the world to continue investing in Canada. Yeah.
Both emerged an hour later saying they were on the same page,
Very good meeting with the Premier.
but were non-committal about any immediate action to help make Canadian companies more competitive or ease businesses' regulatory burdens as they deal with tariffs.
We had a great discussion. Nothing happens immediately in that room.
It remains murky where Canada-U.S. trade talks stand, but for his part, Ford has no plans to travel to Washington anytime soon.
When they need me, I'll be down there, giving my colleague Howard Lutnick a little poke.
Oh, do you think he needs one?
He needs a couple more pokes in it. Don't worry, I'll poke him.
Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc was in the room for the meeting. When asked today if he has any plans to head back to D.C. for more negotiations, LeBlanc's office had nothing to share. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
Coming up.
Just a happy little guy, like genuinely a good kid.
How a Toronto family is remembering an 8-year-old boy killed by a stray bullet. Plus, how this surfer survived a terrifying shark encounter. A family's outpouring of grief after the murder of an 8-year-old boy struck by a stray bullet in Toronto over the weekend.
You're the light, you're the night. Just a happy little guy, like genuinely a good kid.
Jave Roy was fatally hit while laying in bed with his mom, excited to celebrate his best friend's birthday. Police are still searching for suspects. On social media, his mother says she wants his body to be returned to a First Nation on Manitoulin Island and wants her son's name to become a beacon of light for justice. In Nova Scotia, an out-of-control wildfire, one of several burning in the province, has forced the evacuation of some 100 homes in West Dalhousie. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth is in the area where the fire has been raging for days.
Rob Howie is back at work after scrambling over the weekend with his wife and 2 children. As fire trucks raced towards West Dalhousie, Howie traveled in the opposite direction as an out-of-control wildfire burned near his home.
I've been living in a camper up over the mountain.
According to Nova Scotia's Department of Natural Resources, the wildfire has grown and more than 100 homes are evacuated. Annapolis County remains under a state of emergency. Howie applauds the provincial firefighters, volunteers, and crews from other provinces who are working in dangerous conditions.
Couldn't be doing a better job, and I tell you, there's a lot of brave, hard-working people putting a lot of effort into it. They couldn't be doing any better.
Deputy Warden Dustin Enslow says many people are now thanking the firefighters for the work being done.
We're continuing to see extreme positivity and clapping whenever they see fire trucks.
Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston says the efforts to douse water on homes in the area to keep them from burning is working.
Our teams spent a good part of the weekend setting up preventative measures.
This area received some rain last night. Not a lot by Nova Scotia standards, but any amount of rainfall helps the firefighters as they continue to battle the wildfire in very hot and dry conditions.
It definitely did help, and we finally had rain on the site.
But more rain and hard work around the clock will be needed before this wildfire is under control. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, West Dalhousie, Nova Scotia.
Still ahead, emotional roller coaster.
It's a distraction for the grandchildren.
How these wildfire evacuees are finding relief in a time of hardship. Plus, why this woman skateboarded across America. A woman known as the ketamine queen is pleading guilty to selling the fatal dose of the drug that killed Matthew Perry. The Canadian actor was found dead in his LA home in 2023. The medical examiner ruled ketamine, which is used as a surgical anesthetic, was the primary cause of death. Prosecutors cast the 42-year-old woman as a prolific drug dealer. She had been scheduled to go on trial in September. A drone captured footage of a shark that took a bite out of a man's surfboard in Australia. Officials closed the beach near Brisbane and say a 5-meter-long great white shark was located near the area. A few hours later, the shark's bite broke the surfboard in two, sending the man flying into the water unharmed.
So many times. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl.
And a remarkable record-breaking journey for 29-year-old Brooke Johnson, becoming the first woman to skateboard across the U.S. It took 119 days and more than 5,000 kilometers. Her inspiration, her late stepfather, Roger, who passed away last year after suffering a spinal cord injury, a journey she promised her stepfather she would complete before he passed away. Still ahead, a family's temporary thrill-seeking escape from stress back home. A family has turned to a thrilling distraction to help cope with the unexpected twists and turns at home. CTV's Rahim Ladhani explains.
They're one of thousands of people who have been evacuated from their homes, displaced by wildfires burning in Manitoba, and have been living in Niagara Falls.
Really rough. I miss the trees, the fresh water, and being out in the lake in our cabin. I miss that. And it's hard being in the city.
While the adjustment has been challenging, getting to ride the roller coasters at Wonderland is a welcome distraction.
I always wanted to be here. I always wanted to come here.
It's a distraction for the grandchildren. I think they're going to really enjoy it.
I'm going to try the scariest roller coaster at least once.
250 members of the Matthias Colombe Cree Nation, also known as Puckatawagan, and members of Nelson House First Nation are at the park today, with possibly another group later in the week. Canada's Wonderland has partnered with Xpera, Canada's largest national risk mitigation firm. Over the last 4 years, this partnership has hosted around 4,000 First Nation members who have been displaced by fires and flooding.
We're here in the business of fun, but we want to put particular effort towards those families who are perhaps going through a hard time and give them at least one day, to look forward to.
Creating joyful memories during a time of hardship. Rahim Ladhani, CTV News.
They sure deserve it after what they've gone through. That's a snapshot of this Monday for all of us at CTV National News. Thank you for watching. Good night and see you tomorrow.
Canada's #1 newscast for excellence in journalism.
We begin tonight with breaking news.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, winner of the Canadian Screen Award for Best National Newscast. Watch weeknights at 11.